The Predator's ship loomed above Earth like a dark omen, its arrival casting a long shadow across the Pacific Ocean. Commander Elena Hayes stood at the observation deck, her gaze fixed on the alien vessel. The silence in the room was palpable, broken only by the soft hum of the ship's systems. Around her, officers exchanged nervous glances, each one fully aware of the threat now hanging over humanity. "Commander, the Predator ambassador is on the secure channel," reported Lieutenant Silva, his voice tight with unease. "Put him through," Hayes replied, her tone calm, betraying none of the tension that gripped her gut. The screen flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of Krall, the Predator ambassador. His eyes gleamed with cold arrogance, and his voice was a low growl that resonated through the speakers. "Humans," Krall began, the word dripping with contempt. "You stand at the edge of extinction. We offer you a choice: submit to our rule, or prove your worth in a trial by combat. But know this, our champion is the mightiest of our kind, an alpha predator unmatched in strength and ferocity. What can you possibly offer that would stand against such power?" Hayes met Krall's gaze without flinching. "We accept your challenge," she said evenly. The room behind her buzzed with shock, but she kept her focus on the alien ambassador. "Our champion will be ready." Krall's laughter echoed across the deck. "A futile gesture, but entertaining. Choose your creature, human, and prepare to witness its annihilation." The screen went dark. For a moment, the command center was silent, the weight of the impending battle pressing down on everyone present. Hayes turned to her team, her expression resolute. "Commander," Dr. Jonas Wu, the ship's xenobiologist, spoke up, his voice laced with skepticism. "What exactly are we planning to pit against their alpha? Surely, not one of our war machines. They'd see that coming." Hayes allowed herself a small, enigmatic smile. "No, Dr. Wu. Not a machine. Something far more unexpected." The tension in the room deepened as Hayes walked to the viewport, gazing out at the alien ship. "We've faced predators before," she continued, her voice thoughtful. "Creatures that relied on brute strength, overwhelming force. But we survived not because we were stronger, but because we were smarter. We adapted. And we built bonds stronger than fear." Dr. Wu frowned. "You don't mean?" "Yes," Hayes confirmed, turning to face her team. "We're going to show them the power of our oldest ally, an animal they would never suspect, one whose loyalty and intelligence make it more formidable than any alien beast. We'll show them what it means to underestimate humanity." The room fell into a contemplative silence. Hayes knew the risks, but she also knew that humanity's greatest strength lay not in their technology, but in their ability to turn the seemingly ordinary into something extraordinary. And in the coming battle, that would be their trump card. "We'll send a message," Hayes said, her voice firm. "They think they're facing a prey species, but they're about to learn. There's nothing more dangerous than an underestimated human." Outside, the Predator's ship hovered, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath its shadow. The tension in the briefing room was palpable as Commander Elena Hayes addressed her team. A holographic image of Earth's most loyal companion, a dog, hovered in the air above the central table. It was not the fearsome creature anyone had expected. Eyes narrowed, voices hushed, but no one dared to question her openly, at least, not yet. "Commander," Dr. Jonas Wu began, choosing his words carefully, "I understand the concept of unpredictability, but a dog? We're up against a genetically engineered killing machine bred for combat." Hayes remained unflappable. "Exactly, Dr. Wu. They expect brute strength. They anticipate a creature driven by base instincts. What they won't expect is a species that combines loyalty, intelligence, and an unbreakable bond with humanity." Lieutenant Silva, still skeptical, leaned forward. "But how can this be enough? Their alpha predator is a beast designed for slaughter." Hayes stepped closer to the hologram, her fingers tracing the image of the dog, a German shepherd, with eyes full of intelligence and resolve. "This is Max," she said, her voice softening. "He's not just any dog. He's been with me through 3 tours, saved lives more times than I can count. He's genetically enhanced, yes, but it's his heart that makes him special. They'll never see it coming. The room fell silent again, this time out of respect. Max had a reputation. Every soldier on board knew his story. He wasn't just a weapon, he was a hero, a symbol of the unyielding spirit that defined humanity. We've trained him for scenarios like this, Hayes continued, her voice gaining strength. Max isn't just a fighter. He's a strategist. He reads opponents, adapts to their moves. That's something their alpha won't understand, because it doesn't rely on intelligence, only force. And force alone isn't enough to win. Dr. Wu nodded slowly, finally seeing her point. It's the essence of what makes us human, isn't it? Adaptability. The ability to think beyond the immediate threat, to see the bigger picture. Hayes smiled faintly. Exactly. The predators believe that power lies in physical dominance. But we know better. Power lies in understanding, in connection, in the ability to turn what seems like a weakness into our greatest strength. Silva still looked unconvinced, but his respect for Hayes was clear. It's a gamble, Commander. But if anyone can make it work, it's you, and Max. The briefing concluded, and the room emptied, leaving Hayes alone with her thoughts. She knelt beside Max, who had been quietly observing the proceedings. His eyes met hers, and she could almost sense the unspoken communication between them. Max was more than just an animal. He was a partner, a friend, and in this fight, he would be humanity's best chance. Ready for one more mission, boy? She whispered, scratching behind his ear. Max responded with a soft bark, his tail wagging in affirmation. Despite the overwhelming odds, Hayes felt a renewed sense of confidence. Together, they had faced impossible situations before. This would be no different. As Hayes left the room, her thoughts turned to the upcoming battle. She knew the predators would be watching, waiting to see what kind of beast humanity would field. They would laugh when they saw Max, dismiss him as a weak, domesticated pet. But their arrogance would be their downfall. Outside, the stars glimmered against the blackness of space, a reminder of the vast unknown. Humanity had survived countless challenges by embracing the unexpected, by turning every disadvantage into an opportunity. This battle would be no different. And when the time came, Max would show the predators what it meant to be the true alpha, not through sheer force, but through loyalty, intelligence, and the unbreakable bond between man and beast. The challenge had been set. The champion chosen. Now, all that remained was to show the universe that there was more to power than strength alone. The arena was a vast, metallic expanse, a stark contrast to the natural landscapes humanity was used to. Above, a dome of reinforced glass allowed the void of space to witness the impending duel. The Predator warship's interior glowed with an eerie crimson light, casting long shadows that danced ominously around the edges of the battleground. This was where civilizations had been crushed, their champions torn apart by the galaxy's most feared predators. But today, it was different. Today, humanity would show that it could turn the tide with nothing more than a dog and unyielding resolve. Max, the German shepherd, stood at attention beside Commander Elena Hayes. His posture was calm, his eyes focused. There was no sign of fear, only the quiet confidence of a soldier who knew his mission. Across the arena, the Predator Alpha snarled, pacing with a menacing grace. The creature was enormous, its muscles rippling beneath armored scales, eyes glowing with primal rage. A terrifying apex predator, engineered for slaughter. The arena fell silent as Kral, the Predator ambassador, stepped forward. His voice, amplified across the chamber, was dripping with disdain. "This is your champion? A domesticated animal? Pathetic. I had expected more from humans, but it seems you truly are as weak as we believed." Hayes remained expressionless, her gaze locked on Kral. "You wanted a fight, and you'll get one. But don't mistake kindness for weakness. What you see before you is more than just an animal, it's the embodiment of everything that makes us strong." Kral's laughter echoed through the arena, a sound devoid of warmth. "So be it. Let this be the final lesson for your species." With a signal from Kral, the duel began. The Predator Alpha charged, its powerful legs propelling it forward with terrifying speed. But Max didn't flinch. He waited, perfectly still, until the last possible moment. Then, with a burst of agility, he dodged to the side, narrowly avoiding the predator's deadly claws. The Alpha skidded to a halt, surprised by the unexpected maneuver. Hayes watched closely, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew this battle wasn't just about strength. It was about outthinking the opponent. Max had been trained for this, conditioned to exploit weaknesses, to outsmart stronger foes. But she also knew this would be a test like no other. Max circled the Alpha, his movements deliberate and calculated. The predator snarled, frustrated by its inability to land a hit. It lashed out again, this time with more precision, but Max was always one step ahead, darting in and out of range, testing the Alpha's limits. Each failed attack only fueled the creature's rage, making it more reckless. "Impressive," Crawl sneered. "But how long can your pet keep running? The Alpha will tire eventually, and when it does, your champion will be nothing more than a chew toy." Hayes remained silent, her eyes never leaving Max. She knew Crawl was wrong. The Predator Alpha was built for short, explosive bursts of power, but it lacked endurance. Max, on the other hand, had been trained to wear down opponents, to exploit their growing frustration. The Predator was tiring, its movements becoming sluggish, its strikes less accurate. Finally, Max made his move. As the Alpha lunged once more, Max darted beneath its massive frame, delivering a precise bite to a vulnerable joint. The Predator roared in pain, stumbling as its leg buckled under the unexpected assault. Max didn't relent. He was on the Alpha in an instant, targeting weak spots with a ferocity that belied his size. The crowd of predators, who had been jeering moments before, fell silent as they watched in disbelief. This was no ordinary battle. It was a calculated dismantling, a display of intelligence and determination overcoming brute strength. The Alpha, confused and wounded, struggled to regain its footing, but Max was relentless. He pressed his advantage, staying just out of reach, exploiting every misstep, every sign of weakness. Finally, the Alpha collapsed, exhausted and defeated, unable to continue the fight. Max stood over his fallen opponent, panting heavily but victorious. The arena was silent, the predators unable to comprehend what they had just witnessed. Crawl's expression darkened, his arrogance replaced by anger and humiliation. "Impossible," he muttered. This cannot be." Hayes stepped forward, her voice calm but laced with steel. "You underestimated us, Crawl. You thought power was all that mattered, but you were wrong. Humanity's strength lies not in muscle, but in mind, in heart, and the bonds we share with our allies." Crawl's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. He knew he had been outmatched, not by physical force, but by something far more powerful, a lesson that would resonate long after this day. As Hayes and Max turned to leave the arena, the atmosphere shifted. Humanity had not just survived, it had won on its own terms. And for the first time, the predators realized that they were not the only apex species in the galaxy. The silence in the predator warship's command chamber was deafening. Rows of predators, once confident in their supremacy, now sat in stunned silence, unable to comprehend what had just transpired. The Alpha, their pride and joy, lay defeated, bested by a mere human-trained canine. But this was more than just a physical defeat. It was a shattering blow to their belief in their inherent superiority. Commander Elena Hayes stood tall, Max by her side, his fur matted with sweat and the aftermath of the battle. Despite the tension in the room, there was no fear in her gaze, only a steely resolve that spoke volumes. This wasn't just about winning a fight, it was about challenging an entire way of thinking. Crawl, the Predator ambassador, finally broke the silence. His voice, usually full of arrogant bravado, now carried a hint of uncertainty. "What do you want, human? What is the purpose of this charade?" Hayes met his gaze without flinching. "Purpose? You wanted to see if we were worthy of survival, if we could face your Alpha and live. But it's more than that, Crawl. You need to understand that strength isn't just about who can kill the fastest or hit the hardest. It's about resilience, about intelligence, about standing together even when the odds are against you. Krall's eyes narrowed, his pride wounded but not broken. And you believe that your species is worthy of respect? That this demonstration proves you belong among the strong? Hayes took a step forward, her voice firm. We're not asking for respect, Krall. We're demanding it. You wanted us to prove our worth, and we did. But know this, we won't just be another species you conquer or dismiss. Humanity will not bow to anyone. We adapt, we endure, and when pushed, we push back harder. That's what makes us dangerous, and that's why you should reconsider your stance. The room grew tense as the weight of her words sank in. The predators, a race that had always valued physical dominance above all else, were faced with a new reality. Here stood a species that not only refused to submit but had also shown them a different kind of power, a power that couldn't be measured in brute force alone. Krall's gaze flicked to the other predators, who were watching intently. His pride warred with the cold logic that had kept his species at the top for so long. After a long pause, he spoke, his voice measured. You speak of unity, of resilience. But these are not the traits of warriors. They are the traits of the weak, those who cling together out of fear. Hayes smiled, but it was a cold, calculated expression. You're wrong. Unity is what makes us strong. Fear? We know fear, but we don't let it control us. We use it to grow, to learn, to become better. That's something your kind will never understand. Alone, you may be powerful, but together, we're unstoppable. The chamber buzzed with a low murmur as the predators exchanged uncertain glances. This was not the outcome they had expected. They were used to domination, to seeing their enemies break under pressure. But humanity had done the opposite. They had risen to the challenge and turned it into a victory of mind and spirit. Krall's face darkened, but there was a grudging respect in his eyes. Very well, human. You've made your point. Perhaps there is more to your species than we first believed. But remember this, we are still the apex predators of this galaxy. Cross us again, and there will be no second chance. Hayes nodded, her expression unyielding. We'll take our chances. But know that if you ever come for us, we won't be alone. We'll stand with our allies, with every species you've underestimated. And when that day comes, you'll see just how dangerous unity can be. With that, she turned, motioning for Max to follow. The chamber door opened, revealing the pathway back to their shuttle. As they left, the tension in the room didn't dissipate. If anything, it thickened, lingering like a storm cloud waiting to break. The predators had been challenged in a way they had never been before, and they knew it. As Hayes and Max stepped onto their ship, the weight of what had transpired settled in. They had done more than just survive. They had forced a brutal and arrogant species to reconsider its place in the galaxy. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer just another target. It was a force to be reckoned with. The shuttle's engines roared to life, and as they lifted off, Hayes looked down at Max, who was finally resting after his victory. Good job, Max, she whispered, her voice filled with pride. We've shown them what we're made of. In the vastness of space, as the stars stretched out before them, humanity's declaration echoed loud and clear. They would not be prey. They would be the ones to dictate their own destiny.